Life is full of unexpected twists and turns, but some endings are more bizarre than others. While it is not uncommon for people to meet their demise in frightening and painful ways, some deaths are unbelievably silly. In this video, we'll count down 5 people who died in extremely silly ways. Get ready to witness the most absurd and unbelievable endings you've ever heard of. Sam Ballard was a lively 19-year-old rugby player from Sydney, Australia, full of promise and enthusiasm. One weekend in 2010, he was hanging out at his friend Jimmy Galvin's house, enjoying a get-together that included a bit of red wine tasting, when Sam made a decision that would change his life. What was it? While having fun and chilling, a garden slug crawled before them, setting the stage for a life-changing moment. In a bid to act mature and possibly influenced by the wine, Sam dared his friends that he could eat the slug. Without giving it much thought, he went ahead and did just that. Initially, everything seemed all good, and the friends continued their evening. However, a few days later, Sam started feeling unwell, complaining of severe leg pain followed by vomiting and dizziness. Concerned by his condition, which was only getting worse, his mother, Katie, rushed him to the hospital. She was very anxious, fearing that her son might be suffering from multiple sclerosis, a condition that affected his father. But the doctors quickly ruled that out. It was then that Sam mentioned he had eaten a slug. However, his mother initially dismissed the idea, believing that couldn't be the cause of his illness. Sadly, she was mistaken. Sam had become terribly ill from that seemingly harmless dare. The slug Sam ate was carrying rat lungworm disease, a serious infection caused by a parasitic worm that usually lives in rodents but can be transferred to slugs and snails if they consume rodent feces. This parasite is particularly menacing because once eaten by humans, it enters through the intestinal lining, going to vital organs like the liver and lungs, before finally reaching the central nervous system. Typically, rat lungworm disease might cause mild symptoms, but most people recover quickly. Unfortunately for Sam, his case was serious. The parasites invaded his brain and spinal cord, leading to eosinophilic meningoencephalitis. The seriousness of the infection put him into a coma for 420 days and left him with significant brain damage. When Sam woke up, he was already bound to a wheelchair, relying on a feeding tube, and unable to move his limbs freely. Reflecting on her son's condition, Katie Ballard recalled how she had thought of him as invincible. She remembered Sam as a lively and sometimes mischievous young man, never imagining that he could be struck down so greatly by a simple act of youthful exuberance. Sure reminds us of the unexpected ways life can change in an instant. Katie Ballard shared her feelings on Facebook, describing her son Sam as still the cheeky, laughter-filled young man he was before the accident. Yet she also admitted to feeling devastated, acknowledging that the incident had changed their lives forever. She thought about the randomness of the tragedy, noting that no one could have predicted that such an insignificant and trivial event would cause such a horrific tragedy. Initially, Katie held on to the hope that Sam might one day walk and talk again. However, as time passed, this hope dimmed because of the harsh realities of his condition. Sam's paralysis required him to have 24-hour care every day of the week. He faced frequent seizures, needed help with basic functions like using the bathroom, and could not regulate his body temperature on his own. After enduring 3 long years in the hospital, he was finally able to go home, though he remained dependent on a motorized wheelchair for his movement. In the wake of Sam Ballard's tragic incident, online communities had mixed reactions. Some trolls quickly pointed fingers, suggesting that Sam's friends should bear the financial burden of his care. However, Katie Ballard, Sam's mother, held no such resentment. She understood that they were just teenagers being teenagers, caught in an unforeseen calamity. Guess they too must have learned from the incident. Despite the challenges, Sam's friends stood by him, proving their loyalty and friendship. They regularly visited, spending time watching TV shows and rugby matches with him, maintaining some normalcy in his life. When Katie would step out of the room, they would even help Sam taste a bit of beer, gently pouring a little onto his lips, a small gesture that meant the world to Sam. This group, affectionately dubbed Team Ballard, rallied together to raise funds for his care. They managed to gather a significant amount, but continuous lifelong care costs were overwhelming. And it really wasn't easy for his mom, too. In 2016, a ray of hope emerged when Sam became eligible for a substantial $492,000 care package from the National Disability Insurance Scheme, or NDIS, thanks to an application filed by his mother. This financial assistance helped cover some of Sam's extensive medical needs. Tragically, after battling health complications for 8 years, Sam passed away in November 2018 at Hornsby Hospital in Australia, surrounded by his family and close friends. His final words to his mother, filled with love, were, "I love you." These words echoed the deep bond and affection that defined Sam's relationships with those closest to him. Darren Hickey was a 51-year-old wedding planner from Bolton, England, who had overcome significant challenges in his life. 7 years before, he had endured a severe stroke that impacted his ability to move and speak. Despite these difficulties, Darren found a new purpose in dedicating himself to charity work, for which he was honored with a Courage Award by the Stroke Association. And when things seemed all chill, everything went south. On a regular workday, April 4, 2019, around 4 p.m., Darren was at a wedding venue when a chef offered him a small fish cake to simply taste. Sadly, the fish cake was extremely hot and burned the back of his throat. As the afternoon progressed, the pain became even worse, prompting Darren to seek help at the urgent care ward at Chorley Hospital, Lancashire. The medical staff treated him with painkillers and advised him to return if his condition worsened. Darren then went home to rest. However, the situation got even worse later that evening. Around 9 p.m., Darren's partner, Neil Parkinson, discovered him choking in their room. In a desperate attempt to help, Neil tried to thump Darren's back, hoping to clear whatever obstructed his breathing. Despite his efforts, Darren tragically fell on the floor. Neil Parkinson immediately called for help, and the paramedics quickly arrived at the scene, providing urgent treatment and transporting Darren to the Royal Bolton Hospital. Despite their efforts, Darren was tragically pronounced dead just after midnight. Shockingly, all of this occurred less than 12 hours after he had tasted the fish cake that caused such severe burns in his throat. The swelling in Darren's throat, specifically around his voice box, worsened progressively over the hours following the incident, eventually leading to his inability to breathe. An investigation into Darren's sudden and unusual death revealed that the internal damage to his throat was so deep that it required specialist equipment to be seen, showing just how severely burned his throat was. During the investigation, pathologist Dr. Patrick Waugh, who carried out the post-mortem examination, said that such extreme symptoms were typically observed in victims of house fires who had inhaled hot smoke. He pointed out that encountering such a severe reaction from eating hot food is not an everyday circumstance. Initially, Darren Hickey seemed to be coping well after the incident with the hot fish cake. Still, the swelling in his throat quickly worsened, leading to severe complications. The coroner raised concerns about the level of care provided at the hospital's urgent care ward, which GTD Healthcare operates. This facility is designed to alleviate the pressure on traditional accident and emergency departments. A practitioner had reached out to a specialist at the ear, nose, and throat unit at Preston Hospital, hoping to get a clearer understanding of Darren's injuries. However, the lack of visible burns on Mr. Hickey's mouth and tongue made it difficult to identify the extent of the damage initially. Ultimately, Darren's death was ruled as accidental and caused by asphyxiation. The investigation highlighted the need for heightened awareness and possibly revised protocols to handle such unusual but severe reactions. Jennifer Strange was a 28-year-old mother of 3 from Rancho Cordova, California. She had entered a radio station's unique contest in January 2007. The competition, dubbed Hold Your Wee for a Wee, challenged contestants to drink as much water as possible without going to the restroom, with a Nintendo Wii video game console as the grand prize. Like her fellow contestants, Jennifer was drawn to the competition, hoping to win the prize for her family. But her family got something else. Jennifer consumed an alarming amount of water during the contest, nearly 2 gallons within about 3 hours. The contest started with smaller water bottles distributed every 15 minutes. Still, as the competition advanced and participants dropped out, the remaining contestants, including Jennifer, were given larger quantities of water to consume. Despite suffering from severe headaches and visible discomfort, Jennifer's struggles were not taken seriously by the radio hosts. They even made light of her symptoms, joking about her visibly swollen stomach and dismissing her complaints as humorous. Jennifer managed to secure second place, earning a pair of concert tickets, but the victory was short-lived. Feeling unwell, she called in sick at work and went home. Sadly, just hours after the contest ended, Jennifer was found dead in her bathroom by her mother. The light-hearted contest she had entered with hopes of a simple prize had led to a devastating outcome. After the sad death of Jennifer Strange, her family took legal action against Entercom, the parent company of the radio station that hosted the water drinking contest. Her husband, Billy Strange, hoped that the lawsuit would serve as a caution to other companies that engage with the public. Ultimately, the jury awarded the family $16.5 million in compensation. This verdict was intended to send a strong message about the responsibilities of corporations in ensuring the safety of their activities. In an interview with Good Morning America, Billy expressed his grief and frustration, stating that his wife's death from water toxicity was entirely preventable. He also added that the radio station had been warned about the dangers of such contests months before the sad event. Despite these warnings, the competition proceeded without adequate safety measures in place. During the court proceedings, the defense argued that Jennifer should have recognized the risks of consuming excessive amounts of water. However, Billy's attorney, Roger Dreyer, countered this by claiming that Jennifer acted as any reasonable person would under those circumstances, driven by the incentive of winning a prize without a clear understanding of the potential health risks. During the water drinking contest, concerns were raised not just internally, but also by the public. Listeners like Eva Brooks called into the show, cautioning the hosts about the serious risks of consuming large quantities of water. Eva specifically warned that it could lead to water intoxication, which might be fatal. Despite these warnings, the disc jockeys acknowledged the risks but dismissed them, pointing out that contestants had signed release forms. Thus, the station couldn't be held responsible. Roger Dreyer also highlighted a significant oversight during the trial. He pointed out that even after receiving calls from concerned individuals, including a nurse who specifically warned about the dangers, the DJs failed to communicate these risks to the contestants. In a concerning turn of events, the radio station even increased the amount of water the participants had to drink as the contest progressed. An initial autopsy confirmed that Jennifer's death was caused by water intoxication, leading to a condition known as hyponatremia. Hyponatremia happens when excessive water intake dilutes the sodium in the bloodstream, causing cells to swell. In severe cases, it can lead to brain swelling, seizures, and death. You don't want to imagine. The jury found the radio station culpable for negligence for not taking adequate safety measures and failing to properly inform the participants of the grave risks associated with the contest. In 2017, the radio station shut down. Elaine Herzberg, a 49-year-old woman, was crossing a 4-lane road with her bicycle in Tempe, Arizona, when the unthinkable happened. On the evening of March 18, 2018, around 9:58 p.m., Elaine was crossing the street when an Uber test vehicle, which was operating independently in autonomous mode, clashed with her. Sadly, she died from the clash immediately. Countless and lengthy investigations were carried out to understand what went wrong. The U.S. National Transportation Safety Board, together with local police, searched for details of the crash that occurred on that fateful evening, and all their findings pointed to human error as the primary cause. A certain Rafaela Vasquez was in the driver's seat and was supposed to watch the vehicle as a human safety driver. However, investigations later revealed that Vasquez was not paying full attention to the road at the time of the accident. Dashcam footage released by the police revealed that Vasquez was not looking at the road in the crucial moments leading up to the collision. The video showed her looking down for several seconds while the car was traveling at a speed of 39 miles per hour, or 63 kilometers per hour. She had been streaming an episode of the television show The Voice. Despite this, Vasquez pleaded not guilty to any charges related to the accident and was released to await trial. Further complicating the situation, records from the streaming service, Hulu, indicated that Vasquez's device had been streaming that particular show at the time of the crash. Additionally, the autonomous vehicle itself had shortcomings. Its automatic systems failed to recognize Elaine and her bicycle as a potential threat that could lead to a collision, and that was itself a critical malfunction in a technology designed to prevent such incidents. Adding to the concerns, just days before the accident, an employee had already raised issues with the vehicle's safety to the company's leaders. The employee expressed worries that the vehicles were frequently involved in accidents and questioned whether the operators, like Vasquez, were adequately trained to handle these advanced systems. These warnings, however, did not lead to any immediate action, and sadly the fatal crash occurred, raising serious questions about the overall safety and reliability of autonomous vehicles. The police report issued in June 2018 concluded that the fatal collision could have been entirely avoided if Vasquez had been monitoring the road. This incident has sparked discussions about the safety protocols for autonomous vehicles and the crucial role that human operators play in ensuring these technologies do not pose a risk to public safety. After the incident, the state of Arizona took decisive action by suspending Uber's ability to test self-driving cars on its public roads. This move reflected growing concerns about the safety of autonomous vehicles. In response to the suspension and ongoing safety concerns, Uber ended all its autonomous vehicle tests in Arizona. However, Uber later managed to regain permission to conduct these tests in California, starting earlier in 2020, signaling a cautious continuation of their development of this technology. In July 2023, Rafaela Vasquez pleaded guilty to endangerment. This plea was a key moment in history, as it was the first time a clash involving a fully autonomous car resulted in a criminal conviction. Rafaela initially told police that she hadn't seen Elaine before the clash, claiming that Elaine came out of nowhere on a dark street in Tempe. Initially charged with negligent homicide, Rafaela eventually reached a plea agreement with prosecutors. The judge overseeing the case accepted Rafaela's plea and sentenced her to 3 years of supervised probation. Natasha Harris was a 30-year-old mother of 8 from Invercargill, New Zealand. Natasha had a unique habit. She loved Coca-Cola so much that she would drink 8 to 10 liters daily. One morning in February 2010, as her partner Chris Hodgkinson was helping their kids get ready for school, something alarming happened. Natasha suddenly collapsed against a wall. Chris quickly called for help and tried to revive her with mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, but it was too late. Tragically, Natasha suffered a heart attack, which doctors linked to her massive daily intake of Coca-Cola. Dr. Dan Mornan, a pathologist, spoke at an investigation and shared some crucial details about Natasha Harris's health. He explained that Natasha likely had hypokalemia, which means she had low potassium levels. Dr. Mornan believed this was caused by her drinking too much Coca-Cola and not eating well overall. He also mentioned that the high levels of caffeine in Coca-Cola could have played a role in her tragic death. During the investigation, Natasha's partner Chris shared more about her daily habits. He testified that she would drink between 8 and 10 liters of Coke daily, which is about 2.1 to 2.6 gallons. According to Chris, Coca-Cola was a constant presence in Natasha's life. She would start her day with a Coke right beside her bed and end it with another Coke before going to sleep. Chris described her as being addicted to Coke, meaning she couldn't stop drinking it even if she tried. Chris shared more details about Natasha's lifestyle, revealing that she didn't eat much and smoked about 30 cigarettes a day. In the months leading up to her death, he noticed that Natasha was struggling with high blood pressure and often felt tired. Whenever she couldn't have her Coca-Cola, Natasha would suffer from headaches and mood swings, clear signs of withdrawal. Her intense craving for Coca-Cola led to severe health problems, including tooth decay so bad that she had to have teeth removed, and likely heart issues because of all the sugar and caffeine she consumed. Despite these serious health warnings, Natasha and her family didn't fully grasp how dangerous her Coca-Cola addiction was until it was too late. The coroner, David Crerar, said that Natasha's excessive Coca-Cola consumption played a significant role in her untimely death. He pointed out that her daily routine of drinking Coca-Cola led to her consuming over 2.2 pounds of sugar and nearly 1 gram of caffeine each day. These alarming amounts contributed to severe health issues like heart rhythm problems and low potassium levels, which ultimately led to her death. The coroner suggested that health authorities should reduce the caffeine limits in soft drinks or add clearer warning labels to help prevent such incidents. Coca-Cola responded to the coroner's findings by expressing disappointment that their product was singled out. They argue that consuming any food or drink in extreme amounts, even something as harmless as water, can cause health issues if not balanced with a proper diet. In all, it wasn't about a battle between Coca-Cola and the coroner. Still, it was about a mother and wife who had lost her life due to her own unchecked consumption of caffeine.